Hey. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, fabulous ones. Oh, Lord. Hold on. Let me park the car. How you doing? It's been a minute. It seemed like it's been a long time, but it hasn't been that long. We're here for another edition of Notes on the News. I'm Angela. Hey, big brother. I'm Angela, and this is Be Fabulous You. Like, share, comment, subscribe, and park your car, and all that other good stuff. Hey, Icy. I'm a little bit under the weather today. So we just gonna rock with it and get it done. My stomach hurts. Hey, CLG. Okay, so what's new and good? Hey, good afternoon. Oh, to me and Bella and the flower. Oh, she receives the smiley face. Hey, Information Man Show. So what's new and good? Drop in the comments, your family, amongst your family. Any good news you got in your neighborhood, your community, and multicolored hearts. Yay! Share the good news. Share the good news. Share the good news. Habaragani. You know what that means, right? What's the word for today? I guess we got to pick up where we left off before. We can't have an official day of the week for each word because it's been a minute since we chatted in this context. I see you in your car. It looks nice out there where you are. It's beautiful today. Yeah, I was out walking earlier, and it's been a little cool, but it's nice today. And I bet you it's nice in Cali. Cali, is that where you are? Yes, beautiful. Yay. What was the last thing we talked about? Was it Kuji Chagalia? Collective work and responsibility? I mean, self-determination? Or was it, oh yeah, I think it was Kuji Chagalia. So we're going to go with that. That was the last thing we talked about. Kuji Chagalia is self-determination. Yes. And today we are jumping into Ujima. I think it's Ujima. It's nice and hot. I like it hot. Some like it hot. Some don't. I like it hot. Y'all see I got my hoodie on. Until I start getting hot, I might even let the window down, but until I start getting hot, Ujima! Habaragani! Ujima! 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 And what does Ujima mean? It means collective work and responsibility. Working together, the grandkids left chips on the edge of the back seat, and Bella just found them on the floor. Wasn't you though, right? Collective work and responsibility. 2, maintain and build our community together, and to make our brothers and sisters' problems our problems, and to solve them together. To build our communities together. So how are we building our communities together today? What are we doing today that's supporting the building of communities, our communities? What are we doing today to maintain our communities? How are we helping to maintain our communities today? And make our brothers and sisters' problems our problems. Thank you for the like. That's kind of intense. Y'all know I'm kind of sensitive. I be kind of like a little feeling away about getting, like, it's like I'm so sensitive. I feel like if I get too involved with stuff, it's going to be, if I get involved with my brother and my sister's problem, it's going to be my problem. That's what they telling me to do. I don't know. In an abstract way, yes. But personally, I don't know. How do you personally get involved with making your brothers and sisters' problems your problems? Oh, I talked about yesterday that I thought was interesting. That's the point. Hey, there was a brother who was moderating a panel, and he was from New York, and he was really, really excited. I said, well, New York is one, I don't know, he was going to moderate a panel, and I said, we need to have a collective familial mindset. And I said, you know, we were talking, I don't know, Angela Gangster with that hoodie on. That's right. It makes me a threat, right? Especially because it's turquoise and y'all can't see it, but it's got a little apple and a heart on it. You know, that's to scare you and the other stuff. Okay, so he was like, you know, I said, well, New York is one of the most segregated places in the country, even though there's a great diversity of people. People are very segregated. And he's like, that's not true. When I first moved into Fort Greene, it was basically black, or Fort Greene basically used to be black. I'm like, oh, I'm familiar with that area because I lived in Bed-Stuy, do or die. I said, oh, I'm familiar with that area. And he said, and you know, so now it's basically, you know, it's white or it's integrated. I can't remember what he was saying, but he was basically like, he felt that it was a good situation because people who had purchased their homes for $50,000, now they were getting 3.5 million. And the young man who was doing the show, The Blackness Project, Google The Blackness Project. I think it was The Blackness Project. He was doing The Blackness Project. And he said, you know, or what I heard him say is, well, just because one or two people in a community are benefiting does not mean that it's a benefit for the collective, you know? So I think The Blackness Project. Yes, The Blackness Project. And so I think in terms of that, I can kind of see like where we have to start thinking, hey, Dark Void, we have to start thinking that, you know, it's not just like if I'm good, it's good. It's like we all have to be good for me to be good. And so we have to start thinking like that. But in terms of like a collective familial mindset, I don't know. I might need to process some more on that and get some specific strategies. Like, what are some specific examples, Mr. Bonafide 1970, of how you apply a collective familial mindset in your own life? I don't know. That kind of freaks me out, honestly. It takes a village to raise a child. I'm talking about specific examples. So you know, maybe we don't think of any now. Maybe the next time we look around to them, we can, you know, talk more about it. But you know, that's what they say. They say that's one of the Kwanzaa principles. So I don't know. It sounds good, but like, how do we apply that practically and pragmatically and safely? So that you don't get drawn into any BS. If someone in your community doesn't have a car, offer a ride and to take them to the grocery store shopping. Yeah, I got you. Oh, to the grocery shop. Yeah, I got you. Okay, that's a good, solid example. I asked about my neighbor. Sometimes, honestly, I feel like if I get too involved with people, then it's going to lead to trouble for me. When we do something as simple as to choose a product to purchase, we think in terms of building the community and purchasing instead of a product from a white salesperson or whatever. Yeah. To build and maintain our community together. So I can definitely see how that helps to build and maintain the community, you know, and it loops into another principle. But I think I'm really kind of like struggling today with make our brothers and sisters' problems our problems and to solve them together. Now, I do know that when I love to work with people in need, I do what I can to help, even if that brother or sister simply needs someone to talk to. I do know if we're all doing the collective thing, it doesn't fall on one person's shoulders. Yeah, I do know that whenever I have the opportunity, and I feel like it's a blessing when I have the opportunity to, like be in somebody's space and deal with them intimately, like in terms of like counseling, in terms of spiritual counseling, I feel like, you know, I do personally feel responsible for supporting them. Now, I don't know if like after the counseling session, I have on me back Brexit deal, you know, some once a year, you know, whatever, but I don't have people who I don't, so yeah, maybe I don't need to worry about it because I would be worried like, oh my gosh, what if they're gonna be calling me every day talking about, girl, he did this, and I just feel like, girl, I ain't got time for all of that. Kick you off the panel. Oh, they talking about stuff like that. Okay, so maybe, yeah, I have to process that some more, but that's it. Habara Gandhi. Ujima. It's beneficial to know your own skills and gifts and to utilize them to help others. Yeah. Okay. Okay. All right. Well, we got some stuff to think of. When Baba, one of my mentors, went into the hospital, it kind of came out a lot of things that he did. And I love Kwanzaa Be Fabulous You. I celebrate every year. One of the things that it came out that he was like, you know, how he moved in the community is like there was one family of, I don't know how many children she had, but it was a bunch of them. It was 4 or 5 of them. And when her car broke down, he would take them to school every single day. And he felt like it was something that he needed to do, you know. And it's like, you know, the more you always hear about Baba Ibn doing that type of stuff, you know what I mean? Like, he wasn't like, dang, that's jacked up, she got to get all them kids to school. He was like, we got to get all them kids to school. Come on, sis, let's go, you know. So I mean, I don't know, I have to think about it. I might have to work on that one, because I'm definitely feeling some resistance. Yo, Buddha, what up though? Okay, let's see what the Buddha is talking about today. Yes. And I admire that about him. I admire that it's like a lot of what he did was quiet. Steer a person where they can get the best assistance. A lot of what he did was, you know, quiet, you know. Like, I feel like you'll probably never know most of the things that he did. All right. Abstain. Yo, Buddha, what up, though? Abstain, personally, the act of pointing a person in the right direction. Abstain, this is the Buddha. Yo, Buddha, what up, though? The Buddha says, abstain from unwholesome deeds. Perform wholesome deeds, wholesome ones. Purify your mind. This is the teaching of the Buddhas. And I like that it says Buddhas, because of course we know there are a lot of enlightened ones, or a few, some. Black Buddha. There might be other enlightened people. We just know that they say that Buddha was enlightened, but there were other enlightened ones. So the Buddhists tell us, this what he say that they tell us. The Buddha says, abstain from unwholesome deeds. Are you abstaining from unwholesome deeds? If you know the skit ain't good for you, stop doing it. Work on stop doing it. Try to figure out how to stop doing it. Abstain. Put that in your to-do list. And are you performing wholesome deeds? I like how there's the balance. You know, I always focus on performing, but you know, you do have to abstain from, but you know, are you performing wholesome deeds? The things that you know are good for you, good for your family, good for your community. Are you performing those things? Are you doing those things? Increase that. Get to doing more of that. Purify your mind. Now that's a job right there. It's easy to say, oh, just purify your mind. Girl, purify your mind. But that's a job. That's a work. That's a process. How are you purifying your mind? You have a meditation practice. What else do people do to purify their mind? I think that there's something to be said, you know, as much as you can, kind of stand back and observe what you're thinking and release the stuff that's untrue and connect with what's God, and, you know, release stuff that's not God. But I don't know how to do that other than through meditation that I'm conscious of. But purify your mind. What are some strategies that you have for purifying your mind? How can you purify your mind? How are you purifying your mind? Purify the mouth, heart, and soul. Meditation on Yah's word. Yeah. The jig is up for them. Be one. We won. This is the teaching of the Buddhas. All right, so that's cool. I got something from there. Let's proceed to the notes on the news. So it's been a couple of days, but I actually don't think that it's undoable. I think that we can, there are only 24 hours in the day. We can spend so much performing wholesome deeds that there isn't any time to perform unwholesome deeds. Avoiding negativity, sometimes it takes an act of will. Yeah, that's my general approach. I feel like if I focus on like drinking water, like I got to drink this, I'm focusing on drinking this amount of water, then I'm not going to have time to do other stuff. That's how I fell out of drinking juice, soda. I mean, I really, if I'm trying to drink my water, and I use that strategy in everything. So like now I'm working on eating, you know, more fruits and vegetables and focusing on that, tracking that. And then other stuff just falls away because it's sort of like, oh my gosh, I've only had 4 servings of fruits and vegetables today. I don't have time for a lot of stuff that's like low value food right now, in my estimation. So I don't know if I'm going to do a cleanse on the 23rd. I think it was the 23rd. I'm thinking about it. Um, all right. So, newsfeed. New bus tour commemorates history of African American contributions to Detroit. So on. Sees beef online and on. Will not click on it. Yeah, yeah. And a lot of the stuff I hear people talking about, I'm like, I, yeah. I'm like, life is short. I got to make some decisions. I don't really think that's going to add value. So let me focus on some stuff that might add value. That's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to add value to my life and just in general. And some of that stuff, it's just, it don't feel good for me. I'm like, I'm not even, yeah. Albert Kahn building in New Center to be converted into 200 apartments. Albert Kahn was like a big architect here. I don't know if he's known other places. I know the building they talking about in the New Center. I can't stand online beef. So petty and puerile. Is that how you say it? So petty and puerile. If that's how you say it, I think that saying it's puerile is almost like the equivalent of being petty. You're so puerile. Love and hip hop stars Tara Wallace and Amina Butterfly promote new album after beefing over Peter Guns. Now, this story was fascinating to me because when I used to watch that show, there was a man. I love that. Puerile. Me too. It's like a new word. I might have to look it up, Google it, so I can start. That's like the word ubiquitous. I don't know why I fell in love with that word. Right. 24 hours in a day. How many are you going to spend on beautification, on positivity, on production? Hey, Rowdy Chica. What's up, girly? Chiquita. What's up, Chiquita? So when I used to watch Love and Hip Hop, there was this one couple situation where there was this man who had been with this woman. They had 2 or 3 kids together. They were not married. He went off and went off and married another woman that he had known for 6 months. And the other woman felt like she was the main chick. The married woman was supposed to keep her marriage secret. It was like just the craziest, kookiest thing. But this whole idea of like, a lot of times I notice, like, I guess through these shows, because I don't know it in real life, but there's like this, hey, Rottweiler, there's like this hierarchy of side chick, main chick. I don't know, like they have all of this stuff. So it was just like a really interesting thing because one was married. And in my mind, I would think, well, that's the main chick. But the other woman had the 2 or 3 kids and they had been together for 10 or 15 years. So you would think that's the main chick. And she had been just ride or die. No matter how many times he cheated on her, she just stayed with him because that was that love. So, and then they've been, over the years, they've been having this competition to keep having more children. And that's amazing to me too, because with him, they keep getting pregnant with him. And I'm just like, okay. So anyway, now these 2 women have made, I guess, music together. Main chick, side chick, top chick, bottom chick. But now they're making music together. See, when I would watch them, sometimes I think you can just sometimes it's like, if you can, some things we just need to let go. And they're actually, it sounds kind of sick to me. Hey, Mr. Yop and Mr. Bonafide. It sounded kind of sick to me. It was very confusing. And I felt like the women were in some competition with each other. And it didn't seem to be a healthy or productive competition, especially because they were producing children. Like, it seems like they're bringing other lives into the chaos and confusion and mess. It seemed kind of intense to me. And it seemed like I just wanted them to just like, one or both of them to like, and one of them wrote a book about how she's a goddess and like how she don't have, but she just continued to, and I know she wanted to do better because that's why she was trying to, but I just wanted one or both of them to just walk away and just, I don't know. I don't Yeah. So I was kind of fascinated by them. I guess what I really couldn't understand because of my personality and my experience is how they were even dealing with him in the first place. Like, how you gonna be with somebody for 10 years who's cheated on you repeatedly? Like, if y'all had an arrangement for an open marriage, I think that's different. I guess if that's cool with both of y'all, it's cool with me. But if it's not cool with you, then why are you there? And so that's the part I couldn't understand. Like, I felt like we got to get to the why are you still there? Why are you still with this person? What in you makes you feel like this is okay for you if you're saying it's not okay for you? But anyway, I was just fascinated to see that headline. I haven't watched that show in a couple years, so I did not know this was in the works. Minnesota County ordered to pay 1.5 million settlement for its deliberate indifference to foster child who hanged herself. So the first question I have is, I wonder if the child actually, this is coming off of Atlanta Black Star, if they walked away, the show would be over. Reality shows feed on perpetual drama. Well, they had plenty of drama on that show, and they could have had plenty of drama just with, yeah, I don't think the show would be over if they walked away. And I feel like aside from the show, because they're not the producers of the show. I guess they're getting paid for the show, but they're not getting paid commensurate to what they're bringing to. I just can't believe they're being compensated fairly for what they're doing, because I feel like those shows are notorious for, like, they make all this money, but I don't think they getting paid enough to do what they're doing. Except I just think that that's really what's going on for them. So I think that there are people who are not on the shows, who are not paid, who have that type of stuff going on. As a matter of fact, I think, I'm not going to say there's like a part of my family that I don't know really well. And I think that there was one part where there were about 4 or 5 children, and they were like what my mother calls, or what some people call, outside children. And she had been dealing with a married man for years and years and years. Now, she was not, but people do it in real life. She wasn't getting paid for it. I guess she was getting paid in children and peen, and I don't know. But she wasn't getting paid for it. She wasn't on a reality show. Like, I think a lot of us, I don't want to say it's making a poor decision, but what appears to me to be a poor decision, I think a lot of us make a lot of poor decisions, like our critical thinking skills are lacking, our self-esteem is lacking, or it's an opportunity for us to see places where we can improve our critical thinking skills and build up our analytical and critical and self-esteem and self-love. That's how I look at them. Like, ooh, what's really going on, and what does it reflect about, all of us. I have to make my sister's problems my problems. How am I like that? I'm not familiar with the show. I'm just speaking in general. If everybody on reality shows sorted out their issues peaceably and walked away, the show would fold. I might be tempted to watch some of that stuff if it was all white people. You're not gonna be tempted if it's not all white, if it's white people, because the black ones, because you can, I feel like, yeah, it's like they're not exactly people that I know, but they're pieces of people that I know. It feels somehow more familiar, even though it feels like very unfamiliar in some way. So I don't know. But the white, like, once there were more black reality shows, I didn't have time to watch the white reality shows. Perpetuate negative stereotypes about our people. So the first thing the question that I have about the child who hanged herself, according to this headline, is, did the child hang themselves, or because the child was in foster care and they're particularly vulnerable? Children are vulnerable anyway, but a child in foster care is even more vulnerable. So did the child hang themselves, or was somebody crazy in the household who killed them, and is being called a hanging? That's my first question, because I'm kind of curious about hangings and suicides, and like what's really suicide and what's not suicide. There have been two big white people, you don't believe she hung herself, 2 famous white people who have committed suicide here recently. But anyway, I don't know. And then I feel like, dang, if you're living in foster care I guess depending on the type of situation you're in, and even in the best circumstance, being separated from your family, being separated from your mom, your mother, your father, being in distress to the point where some system has determined that you can't be with them, it must be, it must be distressing. It must be, depressing. It must be upsetting. It can't be like a good feeling, you know? And so I don't rest in peace to the little one. Yeah, rest in peace to the little. I'm gonna check and see her name if we can find her name. So I mean that's my first question. Any hanging of a black person I find highly suspect. So yeah, so it a hanging or not? I know a couple people have already asserted that they don't believe, and you might be more familiar with the story because I'm only looking at the headline. I haven't looked at the story, so I don't, but that's just my question. And then the second thing that going backwards that we talked about the foster child situation indirectly, but deliberate indifference. So it makes me wonder, was there some indication, let alone a 6-year-old? Oh, it was a 6-year-old? Was there some indication that, the child was in peril, the child was in danger, the child needed more support, the child needed to be out of there? Talked at length some years ago about the unspeakable, horrendous abuse of black children in the foster care system. Or was she 9? Yeah, the foster care system is, yeah. We had a headline the other day where a father was suing, talking about how the government was deliberately separating him as a representative black man from their families, from their children through the foster care system, how it was like a state action to, deliberately separate, demean, demoralize our community. I think we talked about that. I think we had that headline. So deliberate indifference. And it kind of makes me wonder, like, did they have a sign? And then also, even if the system has a sign that something has gone wrong to the system, is it like, oh, something's going right, we're trying to destroy them, so if they having a jacked up experience, yay, stay over there, you know what I mean? Like, so deliberate indifference, or maybe that's exactly what the system is designed to do on some level. And then the other thing is the 1.5 million settlement. Again, I just feel like I don't know who's being paid, but the child is dead. The child has made their transition. So I don't know what money does to, like, how, like, $1.5 million, just like, Yapo, you were talking about the $1 for each child for their life, and then $1 for the funeral. Somebody's life is worth more than $4. I feel like, okay, so 1.5 million, is that what somebody's life is worth? Because I don't think so. I don't feel like that means nothing to me. And I mean, it's easy because I'm not getting none of the money. It's abstract to me. But I just kind of feel like you can't really pay me off. You can't like treat me like boo boo and then pay me money and think we cool. We cool. It's not cool. It's not good. It's not right. I don't accept it. It's bull. I don't accept it. I'm not here for it. I'm not here for it. And I know, I'm imagining that somebody is going to say, well, better to have, a dead child and 1.5 million than a dead child and no money. But I just feel like better to have no dead child. I mean, some children are going to die, but, so, just prayers out to the family, and to the community, to anybody who's in foster care, who has been through that system. Hey, Marlowe's Corner, who's been through that system, who has family in that system. Just big ups to everybody who is fighting to keep their family together and fighting, when children are in peril. I've had, children in my family who, my grandmother adopted, took family in, my mother took family in. Old habits die hard. They always attach a dollar value to us. Well, my mother worked in workers' comp, and the dollar value that they assign to people who get hurt, period, to workers or whatever, consistently they assign less to us. A 6-year-old girl. It's been a minute since I've been around. I'm trying to think. I just can't imagine that a 6-year-old child commit suicide. That does not it's not, I'm not like, I'm trying to like process like a 6-year-old child's mind. I don't believe that. I don't believe that. Um, the baby girl's name was Kendria Johnson. And she made her transition December 27th, 2014. Oh, her medical needs and daily suicidal thoughts. That's what her grandmother said. Okay. So just prayers out to all of us. Um, and may her spirit, rise up, and just, for all of us who are in pain in big ways and small ways, may we get help. I've been thinking about like this whole suicide hotline conversation, because when the second, it's a mosquito in here. Oh, dang. Oh no, that's not a mosquito. I'm glad I didn't kill it. It's okay if you kill a mosquito in your hand, but a little fly, I don't want a fly in my head. It's probably wrong to kill a mosquito in my hand. I should be like disgusted by that, but that seemed like the right thing to do. But a fly, I'm like, ew, ew. Yeah, I forgot what I was saying. Okay. Woman rejects measly $100 offer after Victoria's Secret has her arrested on false claims of shoplifting. So they accused the woman of shoplifting falsely, and then they gave her $100, wanted to give her $100. I would have rejected that too. A child doesn't have a well-developed concept of death in a way that they could even work out the permutations of something. A 6-year-old, right? That doesn't even resonate. The only thing that would resonate with me is if the child had seen someone commit, like I think that some things can get into your, if you've experienced certain things out of development, like out of developmental order, it's out of order. Yeah, it doesn't compute. But if you've experienced, like if a child, there was a little 6-year-old boy who lifted up a girl's skirt, and this is in a school years ago, and said something about her booty and have effing her and all of this stuff. I think that child has been exposed to and seen some stuff that is developmentally out of order. And so he did do that. That truly happened. But it's not like in the normal course of things. I don't think that would happen. There was something, there was something, he was exposed to some stuff that was way out of line with what he should have been exposed to developmentally, and his behavior reflected that. Like, who's ever seen, you don't see babies behave like that. I don't. I mean, so yeah, if they try, I feel like just the arrest, just the accusation, just looking at me funny, you couldn't pay me $100. If you like, did you steal something and then you try to pay me $100? That ain't gonna make up none of that. So then you arrested me, you accused me of shoplifting. No. That story is coming off of Atlanta Black Star if anybody wants to get more into it. Real Housewives of Atlanta, Apollo Nita's fiance slammed on Instagram as fans learned that they dated while he was still married to Phaedra Parks. A mess. Relationships and how, like, this stuff is just so messy. I know I don't know the people, but I had no idea that, now Apollo did admit that he was like going to the strip clubs, every day and spending thousands of dollars. And I still don't understand that. People say that that's like a cultural thing, particularly in the South, particularly in Atlanta. Men, women kick it in the strip club. And that's just, that's like just going to get chicken wings. That's what we do. It ain't no thing. I'm not really familiar with that culture, so I don't know. So maybe, I don't know. That's a whole, I don't know. Yeah. Chancellor to Asian parents against New York school desegregation. Because how do reality stars have shows? Fans, because when you watch the shows, they are people, even though they're playing roles. And sometimes, those of us who have empathy, we start to feel, some things for some of the people, because we're human beings and they're human beings, and there are some things that we can relate to and identify with. Now, I've never been like, even though Kenya Moore on Real Housewives of Atlanta is from Detroit, I've never been like, oh, I'm a fan of Kenya, because even when I okay, you're not buying it. Because even when I knew her casually in passing in high school, she was not a warm and friendly and fuzzy person. She went to Cass. But in terms of being like, whatever Kenya does on TV, I'm here for it. I support it. No. Welcome back, Information Man. So no, I'm not a fan like that, but I do notice that some people get very attached and like seriously. Like I can't even take it too serious, because I feel like they are real people, but I think that there's definitely a scripted element. And if there's not technically a scripted element, when somebody puts a camera on you, like if I see somebody putting a camera on me, I'm a smile. Because I don't want you to catch no busted butt picture of me out here and be publishing it all over the internet. So I'm going to try to control my public image as much as I can. So you figure somebody point a camera at you, you're going to try to advance a story that you think makes you look good. Now, I think it gets complicated when they following you around all the time and you can't quite manage your image So, yeah, I don't know if I answered your question. I think before reality shows like blew up, remember when those talk shows blew up? I see a nice picture of you. Remember when those talk shows blew up? Like there used to just be like the white man with the white hair, and then Oprah then Oprah Winfrey. It was like I don't like smiling for pictures. There used to just be 2 or 3 talk shows, and then it was like 8 million talk shows. And I thought that whole phenomenon was interesting. Like I think this reality show, I don't even like people taking pictures of me. What's up? Best boxing show. Who likes boxing? I listened for like 3 minutes, if you're still here, the other day, because I was trying to learn. I have some issues when it comes to some YouTube and social media personalities, and celebrity worship is all kind of yuck to me. I love boxing. I don't like it. I don't want y'all to get your heads beat in and then your brains don't work good. That's how I feel. Can I just tell you that? Donahue. Yeah, that was the white guy with the white hair who used to have the talk show. And they used to have like experts. And then it became like this whole thing where the audience was like the experts. So instead of someone who had done some research, who had some foundation, it'd just be like me getting up there being like, well, I think that you should, I just thought the whole thing, I think it's part of a continuum. Actually, the reality shows, I think, are a continuum of the talk shows. And so I think it says something about the culture and society. And I think it's shaping us as much as, probably more than we're shaping the shows. No chairs flying. Some of these reality show participants are acting. I know someone who tried out for the Bad Girls Club years ago. She talked about how she could something. Yeah, I think they're very scripted. How she carried on for the audition. Nothing like the real her. Yeah. 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 And then I kind of think it's interesting, especially when I look at the Black people, because some of the Black people are not somebody like Rashida, who has, as I understand it, she's created a small empire on her own, or she and her husband, who some people say was her molester, because they started dealing when she was under like 17, 16, and her mother went away and let him get custody of her. There's all of this drama. So she's had already a dramatic real life, if I'm to believe what I've heard. But then it's sort of like she has a mini empire in Atlanta. She's known regionally there. She's not a big star, but she owns herself. She owns her product. And so I'm curious as to what her economic motivation is for doing it, because people say in particular that she and her husband, their story is very scripted, very fake. They've paid people to do stuff because I guess it advances their financial agenda. But the ways in which people feel desperate, or the ways in which people make decisions like, well, my dignity or my reputation or how people perceive me is worth, $500 a show. Hey, the underrated darkness or whatever. Are you a boxer too? This photo kind of look with the hoodie, you kind of look like a boxer. Stephanie. So, like for $500 a show, and that's only if you get in the show, like the act, like the carrying on, the yelling and the scream, like all of that kind of stuff, or whatever they're doing. I don't know, like how people like are, yeah, like I just think it's interesting. Hey, chat, good afternoon. He was very real, down to earth, and respected all his guests. Yeah, he seemed like those were like Oprah, but those were kind of, I think it was almost like when Oprah came into the market, like if this fat black woman can have a show, anybody can have a show. That's kind of how I feel. I would love to read some sociological analysis of, TV over the last 20, 40 years, and how it shifted and changed. And, because a lot of these reality shows began to get a lot of currency, and maybe the talk shows too, as a way of breaking the unions. So instead of paying people to write, they they had these it says more about us than the people on them. Instead of paying people to write, there were these reality shows in order to like or I think that's my take on it, to break the writers union. And some of these reality shows, as they become more and more scripted, they seem like telenovas to me, or like soap operas. Much anymore on things like CBS, ABC, NBC, MTV. Yeah. They seem more like soap operas. And I love, like, in a soap opera, it's sort of like at the end of a scene. That's the part I like to see. Like, you'll be like, I went to the store. And then the person will be like, and that's where John is. And then it's like dramatic pause for like 3 or 4 seconds. Like, I just think the whole, and like they're doing that more and more on reality shows. And it's just like, and in their interviews, they're like, she said that I was so-and-so, but I say blah, blah, blah. Or, it's just like hyper, like it's script, like dramatic. Like, some people are dramatic in real life, but not everybody is dramatic in real life. And they seem even dramatic for people who are dramatic in real life. So I think it's I'm fascinated by it. So I don't know what it says about me or us, I don't know. And there are some that I can't watch because I don't care for them, but some I can, and I do. So I don't know. Chancellor to Asian parents against New York school desegregation. That's Bill Foster. He had the Serengeti Ballroom here in Detroit. Okay, he might still do Serengeti. I don't know. So you better make room for Black and Latino kids. It was MTV's The Real World that sparked the uprise of reality TV. And do you know that one of the women who was on The Real World is now on a reality show called Basketball Wives? So we've seen her grow up on reality TV. I never saw her on that show, but I think that I heard that she had an abortion on that show. She has 2 grown children now. I think what's the child? Not Jackie, I can't remember her. Tammy, who I call Tam Tam. I think that could be like a fascinating study of her. A lot of them are just replacements for soap operas. They are making processed food, cheap to make, brings big profits, little to no nutritional value. It sounds like some analysis right there. See, I might read a think piece and stop. Now I got to go to class and try to learn something from this man on today. All right, girl. Have a good class. Learn something good. But stay woke. Critically analyze what's being said. Don't just take it all in. Stay alert, aware, attentive. Have a great class, Ma. Okay. So I remember I think it was the Bronx School of the Science. There were certain like schools in New York when I was there who seemed to be like magnet schools. You do try. I know you do. And that's the process. We do what we can do, and then get good grades too. It's so much responsibility on us. We can't just go get good grades. We got to stay woke too. But you can do it because you're a superwoman. And you get support when you need it. So there was like I think it was the Bronx School of the Science, and there were other schools that appeared to be magnet schools. I went to the equivalent of what would be a magnet school here. You had to take a test to get in, and I guess there was some appeals process, but disproportionately, it seems like the impression that I got is that the children who were in magnet schools in New York, the minority students for the most part were Asian students. There were black and brown kids, but especially there was a school in the Bronx, which was like science and tech math. And that school seemed to it seemed to be hard for a black child to get into that school. So I'm not sure if this is coming off of Atlanta Black Star, but it makes me curious. I haven't really thought about New York City schools and education for a while. But the chancellor, that's the New York City Public Schools chancellor, I'm imagining, is saying to Asian parents who are against New York schools desegregation, so they want to get in, but they don't want the black and brown kids in. Yeah. They're using interns and externs instead of actual employees. Yeah, and they've outsourced the production of a lot of these shows on these networks. So it's all kinds of ways they've broken the union and reduced the pay in that industry. And I guess reduce the pay but increase their profit. The Loud family spark it. I had an opportunity to go to a magnet school, but I just wasn't attracted to it. You better make room for black and Latino kids. That's what the chancellor is saying. They feel like if the more black and I suspect, I haven't read the story again, it's coming off of Atlanta Black Star, but I suspect they feel like the more black and they want all the spots, all the minority spots or minority spots, they want them. Because we're not the global minority, we're the global majority. But anyway, yeah. So they want all the spots and they like, F them black and brown people. Israel refuses to officially recognize 2,000 Ugandan Jews as Jewish. Who has the right to decide? I thought that was a great headline because it has everything there. So if I say I'm Jewish, who's gonna tell me that I'm not Jewish? I guess they say you can convert. There's a process to convert. I never heard of the Loud family. There's a process to convert. So who gonna tell me if I say I'm Jewish? Who gonna tell me I'm not Jewish? Did the rabbi? How does that work? So if 2,000 people say they Jewish, how come the Israel is refusing to recognize them? Israel definitely has a problem. It seems we getting the impression they have multiple problems. They out here attacking, killing, murdering the Palestinians. They want an ethnic state, a white ethnic state. They out here murdering, killing the brown and black. Some of those Palestinians look black to me, not just brown too. I just want to say that. So they out here, and then just a minute ago, weren't they exporting the Ethiopians who had sought refuge in Israel, which is isn't it supposed to be the homeland for all of the Jewish people? But they don't want they sending away the black and brown people, and then they're paying other countries to take their refugees. Right? They don't want refugees. Then they were having a plan to a horrendously racist country, just like South Africa during apartheid. Israel, South Africa, America have all worked together. Israel, South Africa, America, and Hitler's country all worked together and worked out their plans and strategies for the bullshit that they do. Some of the stuff that they do, horrendously racist. And they were people who were there as refugees. They were like they wanted to pay people to hunt them down. They were trying to pay them they like, get your black behind out. We do not want you. So we not recognizing no Ugandan. Book Against Our Better Judgment. So is this a book recommendation? Read Against Our Better Judgment. So yeah, that's what's going on. I guess really it's more of this. It seemed like it fits in the pattern. It don't surprise us. It don't surprise me based on what I know or what I've heard, my sense of Israel. 9 black football players sue University of Minnesota in sexual misconduct case, say they were used as a scapegoat. This is coming off of Atlanta Black Star too. So I'm not sure what happened. I don't know if the team got accused of something and these black football players took the brunt of it. I don't know why they feel that they were a scapegoat, but they're suing. And it wouldn't surprise me. Minnesota, the Midwest. Yeah, I don't know, but that's it. Indiana man arrested after threatening to shoot alt-right guys to gain sympathy for white nationalists. So the impression that I get is this like if I'm like, oh, I want people to feel bad for, the blacks, so I'm going to do something to us blacks so that people will feel bad and be mad at the whites for, how they treat us blacks. But I'm going to hurt my people. It's a small bad for the greater good, theoretically. I mean, I'm not going to do that, but I mean, that's the theory. So it sounds like that's what he was trying to do. He was trying to, hurt his own alt-right racist people so that people would start feeling bad for the alt-right white nationalist racist KKK dumb people, the dum-dums. Angola gets its first mobile wallet. I was kind of surprised by that. I had the feeling and impression that in other parts of the world, India, some parts of Asia, parts of Africa, that like they were advanced. That was Charles Mason's strategy when he was attempting to start a race war. Oh, Charles Mason was trying to start a race war? I don't know much about him. So I'm kind of like, I'm thinking that they're like, in terms of stuff like mobile wallets, like, people don't have access to banks in the same way, so that I'm thinking all of the African countries are like advanced. I would have, if you'd have asked me, helter skelter. Yeah, I don't know nothing. I've heard the term, but not really, I don't know what it means. I mean, sometimes people use like helter skelter to mean like chaos, like helter, but and I've heard it probably in the context of him, but I don't know. I don't know him. I don't know his craziness. Congressional Black Caucus stands behind decriminalization of marijuana. I don't know what to say about that. But I was listening to something the other day, and they were like, the Congressional Black Caucus, they ain't doing nothing. What are they doing? And it made me kind of curious. I don't have an opinion really about the Congressional Black Caucus. I do feel like that now that John Conyers was Me Too'd, and I'm clear, John Conyers wife, he was married to this woman who was on Detroit City Council. And the impression that I've gotten, I don't know, I wasn't here, but it just seems like she was like a plumb fool, and like she was an opportunist, and she was like stealing. I'm like, well, what is he doing married to her? She was significantly younger than him. I'm like, did he just marry her because he thought she was young and cute? Like he didn't have in terms of who he's selecting as a partner. So it made me side-eye him. Although I do feel like HR 40 in this whole conversation, keeping the conversation going, like if you're in that arena, for him to be continuously in bill year after year after year after year on reparations for Black folks, I feel like that's progressive. If that's what you do, if those are the arenas you run in, then his wife, Monica Conyers, she, as far as I know, she was Black. She was Black. He was having his family kill in an attempt to start a race war. Oh, the helter skelter. Yeah. So Conyers. And then when he stepped down and he resigned, he like, I want my son to run. His son don't even have the credentials to run. So I'm like, have people been taking advantage? Is he senile? Like, what's going on? Like, what's wrong with how he's processing and how he's moving in the world? It doesn't inspire me to feel respect for him, And then when the whole thing happened, when the woman said that he, did something to her or molested her, and then he ended up resigning, it was like, it was a white woman, and people who know him around the way are like, they ain't never really known him to deal with white women, like, and people who worked around, like, it just seemed like a fake story to me. And then it's kind of like, I feel like, was it just to get him to resign, to like, sort of break down some of the like, well, is anybody gonna pick up the mantle of HR 40 or revitalize it or do something different, or is that just a wrap? They won't have to be hearing them Negroes ask about, I can't trust anything the media says about him because he was trying to fight for reparations. I trust nothing they say. Well, do you trust that he was married to a woman who was out here wilding out in Detroit? Do you trust that? Nada. So I feel like we're human beings, and we may be progressive in some ways and regressive in other ways. I don't know what's going on. Not as if so. I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's going on. So anyway, that's just my only thoughts about the Congressional Black Congress Conyers. Like, I'm like, he was a part of it. What were they doing? What do they do? Are they doing something in in their context? Because clearly they're part of the we want to work from inside the system. I don't know. Serial poopers. Remember, we heard about the school principal who would come every morning and take a bowel movement on the track of the school and leave his bowel movement sitting there for the people. Remember that? He is not isolated. He is not alone. There are people who are serial poopers. Yes. What makes people poop in public places? This is coming off the BBC. Don't hold back. So I didn't look at the article, but I'm just kind of like, ew. Like, so this is a thing? Like, people go around doing in public places, and there's a reason why they do it. I think you already used that joke, Yapo. I remember that. It's disgusting. And this person is not alone. That person is not alone. So there are serial poopers. If you want to read more about them, you can read about them on the BBC. It's no joke. Well, I feel Trump-Kim summit. Stop romanticizing a dictator, says North Korean artist. So this was interesting because yesterday I saw an image of a whole bunch of men. I thought it was about 15 men running beside a car. Well, I didn't know if I think they looked like they were running, but it was a still shot. And they were Asian men. And it said something like Kim Jong-un's running man. And I was kind of like, oh, well, what does it mean? What is it about? And then I saw a piece today, and you could see his security like walking around him, and it's like a whole bunch of them. And I'm like, well, he's not trying to blend in because they're all in suits, Western suits and ties, and he's like in a like a tunic kind of type deal. So he looks different. I guess people deal with job stress in different ways. It takes this, so they take skid at work, and so they skid back. I gotta come into this school. Take this. That's disgusting. Most older cars and trucks have runners on the side. No, not those kind of runners, like people, like a whole bunch of men. So anyway, so I just thought it was interesting, and it kind of caught my attention. And then they were talking about the last thing that Kim Jong-un did was so wherever he was now, in South Korea. So now, because he was smiling so much, this running man, our Secret Service, now because he was smiling so much, and I was kind of fascinated, like, oh, they run outside the cars? I might need to Google. What do they do? Does he keep the car going at 5 miles an hour? Like, can they run super fast? Like, how does it work? I was just kind of like, what is this? Why are they, what is it about? What does it mean? But anyway, they were talking about it. And when he went to South Korea here recently, now the South Koreans are like, we like him. 40, 50, 80% of the people are like, he seemed nice because he was smiling all the time. And they use the term charm offensive. Hey, like if I'm smiling a lot, you can't help but like me. I guess that's the theory, or you become more likable. And so he was doing a tour with a whole bunch of them walking around him. So anyway, I was just kind of like, our Secret Service does that too. They run around the side of the car. Did I miss that whole thing? I did not know. Hey, a view from Tracy's Point. I did not know. I never saw it before. Like, how long do they run? Do they just run till they get to the highway? How does it work? The Olympics really brought the Koreas together, and then it escalated because they just had another conference here recently. But this artist is like, look, Trump, Kim is a daggone dictator. Stop. Yes, check out the inaugural parade footage. Okay, I might, but I'll probably just take your word for it because I don't think I care deeply enough. If you say it's true for me, and if not, it don't make a big difference. You know what I mean? So this person is like, stop romanticizing a dictator. He's smiling, he grinned. That don't mean that what he's doing, how he's behaving, how he's treating my people, how he's treating us is cool. It's been that way for decades for the Secret Service. So, don't get don't get bamboozled by the charm offensive. So it just kind of got me to thinking, like, I've heard people talk about, like, when the white people would come to your house to collect the insurance money, they would be friendly to you. If they wore lingerie, they could be Victoria's Secret service. They could be paid $100 each. So, stop being taken. Oh, so they were saying, somebody was saying, I was reading something the other day about how the insurance man would come to the door and knock and smile and, hey, little kids. And we loved him because he smiled to us. He was friendly. And I think a lot of times as Black folks, and maybe it's not just like Black folks, but when people smile at you, when people are friendly to you, you feel more inclined to, like, trust them and relax, even if they're, like, not really good for you, So it's like, hey, how you doing? Like they say in the North or whatever, people are friendly to you, and then they'll, stab you in your back. Whereas in the South, they'd be like, hey, get out of here. They just stab you in your front, So, like, I think theoretically, intellectually, it's better, if somebody is a dictator, if somebody, like, is going around dogging they people out, if somebody is, but another thing, this is like totally off to a side note. I saw like a list of things that they wanted from Kim Jong-un. And one of the things was that they wanted to be able to come in and inspect anywhere indefinitely. And I was just so offended by that. Can he come in here and inspect anywhere indefinitely? No. So who are you telling grown people what to do in their house? Who are we telling other countries what we gonna do in their house? Some of them probably do wear that under their clothing. You never know what people do for kicks. You don't know what people do in the privacy of under their clothes or in their house. So I'm like, I just, even though I'm not like necessarily a fan of, a dictator and starving your people. Remember the guy we talked about who was a military person in North Korea, and he ran across the DMZ, the demilitarization zone. And then when he got to he made it to South Korea, but he had gotten shot. And then when he was in the hospital, he had worms, like he was malnourished. There's some nutritional stuff going on, and like, I don't know what's going on in the country. But he was in the military. You would think that he would be representative of the best health. I would think that they would take care of their military. I don't know. I think I would take care of my military. Yeah, I would take care of my military. Oh, and the people who are running around him, his Secret Service, they say that they're selected. They're selected from the regular military. And of course, they get offered it, but they don't necessarily have a choice whether they do it or not. Usually they do it for about 10 years. But somebody is like, what if somebody tries to get him while he's here? Like, I'm like, well, what about the people who are closest around him? Would any of the running men turn on him? This guy just tried to run around the demilitarization zone. Like, they may look okay, but are they being treated okay? How they feel in the inside? Sometimes you be, yes, master, I loves it, master, but inside you be like, I can't stand it here. As soon as I get a chance, I'm running and I'm gonna kill your ass. So you can't tell to look at people how they feeling on the inside and what they're dealing with. So we only hear those things in North Korea from our media. I don't believe them. Not one word. Nothing. Nada. Ever. Nothing. No. No. Zilch. No. Nah. Yeah, I believe some of it because I believe some of it, but I don't know. I haven't studied it or paid deep attention. Okay, no way. Yeah, I believe it. I believe some of it. I believe that, what do they say? Even a broken clock is right twice a day. And I think that even though our media has a particular agenda, I think that sometimes the agenda of he replaced a lot of his top security a week ago. Okay. Maybe that's like a security strategy. I kind of like this. Maybe this is wrong to say out loud, but yeah, let me shut up. Okay. Sometimes like things happen in the world, like big things. And I'm like, is something big about to go down? Or other people, you can hope, right? Florida employee did not complete background checks on residents seeking concealed. Listen to this story. Florida Florida employee, so this is somebody who's a job, a race jerk. Would I believe it? Well, okay, you got me. Oh, I thought you were going to say, nope, I think he was my friend. But I am suspicious. Like if something, I do look at the source, but I don't, just because somebody that I like says something, I don't believe everything they say. Just because somebody that I don't like says something, I don't disbelieve everything they say. All in the span of a week or so. So yeah, something's about to go down. Florida employee did not complete background checks on residents seeking concealed weapon permits. So you go in to get a concealed weapon permit. They're supposed to complete a background check on you. This employee in Florida, they didn't complete the background checks for concealed weapon permits for over a year because she couldn't log on to a database. What's my password? I don't know my password. Just go on and take this permit. Hey, Bella. But they hide the deeper truths attached to them. We need to be critical thinkers no matter how we feel about the source of the info. Yeah. Yes, we do. We need to be loyal to the truth. We need to be loyal to God and to good. Yeah. So the person wasn't doing a background check because they couldn't log on. They don't have technical assistance. They ain't tell nobody for a whole year. They just like, yeah, go on and get that permit. I'm not gonna do my job. An employee, that's their job. Republican strategist Roger Stone. Oh, I know who this is. When I read the headline, I'm like, who is Roger Stone? But I remember now. That's funny to me for some reason. It seems very Florida. Florida seems like it seems like one of the craziest places in the whole country to me. But I don't know why. I don't know if it's like a like the alligators. Did you see the story the other day? A woman, this is not funny, but it was kind of funny because it seemed like how very Florida. A woman went walking with her dog, so her neighbor saw her and you live in Florida. Case in point, I'm joking. A woman went walking with her dogs. Did you hear about this story? So the neighbor saw her walk by with her dogs and then saw the dogs come back walking, limping or whatever. And the woman was missing. Then later they found the arm in an alligator or a limb or something. So I mean, Florida seems like a trip to me. But yeah, the whole gun control and management of this, like that just makes you feel like it's so casual anyway, even if there were theoretically checkpoints in place to deal with certain things. If I forgot my password today, just go on and get this permit. I don't care. Like, what difference does it make? That was stupid. Walk close to that lake. They found an arm. The snakes in Florida are an issue as well. She was probably trying to save one of those dogs. Gators rarely bother humans. Oh, okay. I don't know. Because that's what I was telling y'all the other day when Bella got attacked. I was thinking, like, should I get in? And then I'm like, yeah, no, I'm not going to jump in a fight between two dogs. Like, even though Bella wasn't really fighting. But, yeah. So, yeah, she might have been trying to, because I thought about it. And if I, maybe if I was more emotional and not cerebral, maybe I'd have been down there fighting with the dog just on instinct. Like, this my girl, this Bella. But I was just kind of like, wait a second. So I don't know. Republicans, I don't know. Or I'm finished talking about it. I'm not facing down any alligator. And didn't we see a story the other day about somebody who fought a bear and walked away alive or something? I think we talked about that the last time we talked. Peace, Kendra. Republican strategist Roger Stone urges Trump to pardon UNIA leader Marcus Garvey. What I really wanted to do with this story is just talk more about Marcus Garvey. And I really don't know a lot about Marcus Garvey, but the last Marcus Garvey Day celebration I went to, it seems like I heard something in terms of like the circulation of, what was his publication? He had there was a publication that was attached to the association. And the circulation was like out of like just huge. And in the context of that, I started to realize how huge that organization was and how it was an international organization, and how somehow you don't really get, we do talk about Garvey in a way, but it was just, it's sort of like, I kind of started to have like a feeling or an inkling of the magnitude of the level of like what he had done in organizing people in the way that he organized people. Now, this is the thing about Garvey, and I that always kind of like seemed a little weird to me. That's why he was seen as a threat. Right. Now that, like, I was really impressed by that. And I know people to this day who are like, my grandfather was a Garveyite. My great grandfather was a Garveyite. My daddy was a Garveyite. You understand what I'm saying? Like progressive people today who can't come from that legacy, who come from that tradition. But what was always confusing to me, or what seemed weird to me, was the whole like, I'm a fabulite. I think they're really organized like an army. Like, I'm not sure, but I got the impression that like the Salvation Army, they have like titles like general and stuff like that. Is that true? Because I just was like, that's really weird. But I guess they're an army saving souls. I don't know. But I don't know much about the organization. But when I heard that, I was like, well, that's weird. And the same thing about Garvey. That is true. The same thing about Garvey. They had titles and uniforms and stuff like that. And I think that part of his philosophy was that, like, as Black folks, we don't have, enough titles and uniforms to feel they have ranks in the Salvation Army. That we need, you're the great, leader. I hail you, Angela, now head of the Fabulites. Like, I need a title in order to feel like, yeah, I'm Angela and I'm the head of the Fabulites. So that always kind of was curious to me. The little bit that I've heard about it, it was kind of like, I don't know. It seemed, but I do think that, this whole pompous, it seemed pompous, but it also seemed like superficial. Now I do think that, I know from working with young people, for example, that things like t-shirts and like, hey, this is, we're all a crew, we're, doing this together, we're family, like young people tend to be very receptive to those types of things. And some people say that that's why they can be receptive to structure is necessary. It's just how it's done. The people can be very receptive to like, oh, I'm Goddess Gila. Like, yeah, I'm one of the OGs. Like, I did get, I kind of think it's cute. I don't think I probably say it, maybe I probably said it more to y'all in the last than I've talked about it. And we have a ring. I don't know where my ring is, but we actually have a ring. And I wore that ring for a minute. But symbols and signs of membership and ranks and all their titles and roles and followers, yeah, like maybe that's part of like the human condition. And so maybe those things appeal to us in different ways, because like, for example, I already told you, if I go to a baby shower and they're playing a game, I want to win and I want the prize. I don't want the prize once I get it, but I like the idea of like, I get like. And then I was telling somebody else, when I worked in retail, and they would give out like gifts like, hey, if you open up an account, you can get this or you can get that. None of that stuff appealed to me. When they said, if you open up an account, you get $1 at the end of the day, I was opening up accounts all day. Everybody who came in there was about to have a new credit account if I could do anything about it. Now, you can't force people to do nothing. I'm not going to lie to nobody, but it was a charm offensive from when you walked in the door. I was about to be getting my dollars because that's how I'm oriented. I was like, dollar, dollar, dollar. At the end of the day, I made 10 extra dollars cash. I was excited by that. So different things speak to different people. Some people it's a title. Some people it's a rank. Some people it's, we got this t-shirt that shows that we're all one, So at first I was kind of like, I guess as I've thought about it, I can see how, you never know what appeals to in place minus the worship factor. Yeah. So, it might have been like a brilliant, it might have been a brilliant strategy. And here I am with my organization of nothing, scoffing at the great Marcus Garvey and all of his brilliance. And Marcus, oh, the Cardinals back, and Marcus Garvey. I mean, I feel like the last time I came in contact with information about him, I'm like, I need to study him more. I need to pay more attention to what he did and how he did it. And, more big ups. Big up. More big ups to Marcus Garvey. But Zero and all of his partner and all of that, don't nobody care about that. Republican strategist Roger Stone. I think it's dumb. A current affair back in the 90s had stories about racist Roger Stone and his wife are sex freaks. We need to study him more. Yeah, we need to study him more. I agree 100%. It's a sad moment. Justice Department says core of Affordable Care Act is unconstitutional. I'm not really sure what's going on. I think what I'm hearing is that whereas in the past, the Justice Department has had a policy is like, if it's federal law that Obama came up with or that came during the Obama era, we gonna oppose it. That's what I think is going on. So, they're basically saying that the core of the, everybody don't need health care. It's not a right or whatever, died, N-I-G-G-E-I, died. Oh, I read that book a couple years ago. It was a small little memoir. Who was it? Was it stuff? I don't remember. Wasn't it called Die Nigga Die? I don't know. Yeah. So yeah, that's what's going on. More of the and then it's like there's some distinction between Jefferson Beauregard Sessions and like he's in one area and some, I don't care nothing about. I should care. I tried. I read the headline. You can get more details at Atlanta Black Star. They get on my nerves. If I talk to, I don't want to talk about it anymore. Here we are. More information about Florida. Let's see what this story is. I just saw Florida was the first line of the headline. Florida man arrested after racial and verbally attacking flight attendant. You're too fat. This is coming off of Atlanta Black Star. I guess he, what, she have a big butt? What's the story? It seemed like most of these flight attendants are pretty much like in a range of size. There doesn't seem to be like a lot of variety in, their sizing and stuff. But, your homeboy, we need to study him more. Your homeboy, Miss Tracy, is out here, harassing people. It's so shocking that someone from Florida, a white person, is out here being white and acting crazy. Okay. That's coming off of Atlanta Black Star. If anybody wants to, I think when he got off the plane, they like arrested him or something. But the family fishing, I hope I get to this story because it's like I am running out of time, although I thought I was gonna have plenty of time. Remember when we were talking about these people who, did we already talk about it? These people who get fired from these jobs from being, I cut all my hair. Well, I didn't cut. It's just super short. I don't know if they tased them. Tasing is kind of serious. I don't want to get tased. These people who get fired from their jobs for, being racist or whatever. And I'm like, that's just, they like how they get jumped into their crew. Now the people know, yeah, you really down for whiteism and you are a white brother or sister. And so you got a job for life. We're going to look out for you and all of this other stuff. And, you look fab. Thank you. So, all of these people get like, we hear the headline, they got arrested, right? And then the funky academic, I wish I could say his name properly, but I can't at the moment because I'm not looking at it. But he did a piece because somebody in his hometown that he knew as Woozy a cop ran into him. Zero has unleashed all sorts of fuckery on these from these races. So we heard this story not too long ago of a cop who ran into somebody who was running away from him. And this person was the funky academic's friend, childhood friend or whatever, somebody he know from the hood, the neighborhood, the community, Woozy. And dang, it was related somehow to something. And now I can't even remember what it was. Oh, and so okay, so this guy now when he got fired, they're like, he's a family man. He's the sole supporter of his family. I learned all of this from listening to the Funky Academic, so you can get the better story from him. But and he like, well, he a family man. He's a sole support, but he's basically in the family business because his daddy and maybe his granddaddy are the chief of police. So he didn't have to go out and find a job. That cop got rehired the very next day. His daddy made one of his friends next door hired him the next day because they wanted his quality of guy. He got jumped into, you shown us, we knew who your daddy was, but now you in the fraternity. You a legacy, but now you got your own legacy. And they started a GoFundMe account for him because he was a sole provider for his family. And so basically the incident happened on like a Thursday or a Friday, and by Monday he was working at he had a new job. So Funky Academic is like, he basically got a $7,000 signing bonus. And, they say he was off for 2 days, but if the 2 days that you off are Saturday and Sunday, were you off or was it just the weekend? So, that's been my theory all along, that even if we don't hear about these stories, that for the most part we hear, I'm shocked and appalled. It's the same stuff, but it's something different. No, it's the same shit, different day. But even though we hear they got fired, and we're like, yay, they got fired. I'm like, but what's going on after they get fired? We don't hear that stuff, and I suspect that they can't wait for the day we don't even have. Yeah, moving on. Somebody on here know who I'm trying to imitate, who I can never quite get the tone. She say it's so cute. Moving on. I can't get it. I'm gonna get it one day. I can get it one day. I'm gonna get it. The family fishing for ancient fossils in Lebanon. So there are like 3 generations of family who do this. They fish for ancient fossils. But what was really interesting to me, applaud, very close. English language. I'm appalled. I applaud. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. What was interesting to me is that they described the family in the way that people describe an academic discipline. I can't remember what academic discipline it was. And when you think of people in that discipline, you think of them having to go to school and be apprenticed to people who are not in their family. So I just thought it was really interesting. Paleontologists, 3rd generation of a family of paleontologists. The idea of passing paleontology on from within the family, I just thought of it as something you'd have to go to a university. I love that. 5-year-old Ralph is keen to take on the family business. I like that shot. Y'all see all that brown, then his blue, then the red. I like the composition, that line. So anyway, I thought that was interesting. Minnesota changes marijuana stings after majority of felony arrests were Black men. So now they're going to do marijuana stings in white communities. It's just like the psychopath racist cop who killed Tamir Rice was fired from another police station to the one. Oh, right. And that's what they say. They say that a lot of these people who have, I use the term people lightly, a lot of these cops who have these issues, they go from department to department to department. Like that's no deterrent for them getting another job. It seems to be a reference. And I think cops and all kinds of robbers, that's how they do it. That's how the whiteism work, right? The whiteism, they are a brotherhood. Right, not just the cops, but I think the whole Aryan, whatever they are, the global white minority, I think they, and I guess when you're so pathetic and pitiful and secret society ain't shit, gotta stick together, right? They're a gang. If y'all don't have each other's backs, you sure can't do it on your own. And y'all can't do it without trying to tear other people down. I guess that's how they feel. That's how they act. So I guess they got to stick together. So I don't know. I mean, I guess it's kind of like, I feel like, oh, is it good news that they're changing something based on this research that showed that the felony arrests were black men, but I don't trust them. That shows their mentality and lack of spirituality. If I killed someone, I would be in no hurry to get back in the saddle. Dodging crocs to cross the road. This is in Australia. Florida, Australia. Yeah. It seemed like there was some kind of flood or something, and they had to dodge crocodile. I used to watch, not like actively, but like maybe like, 10 minutes every 2 or 3 weeks here and there I would catch. I guess my husband used to watch this show of these people who were like, were they hunters? Did they hunt crocodiles? I can't remember, but they would be like fighting them and shooting them and like all of this stuff. I would just leave them alone and try to, like, they stay in their area and I stay in my area. Why are they fighting them? And they would like lay traps for them and then they would come back. I guess they were trying to get Crocodile Dundee. No, it was like a TV show, like a reality show. They would like lay trap the crocodile hunter. I don't know. They would like lay traps for them and then they would come back and they would fight the crocodile and then they would shoot it. Swamp People. I think it was Swamp People. I did not like it. Why they fighting what the crocodile do to them? This has nothing to do with the story coming out of Australia. I'm just thinking about crocodiles. Garbage truck wrecks Brooklyn street. Oh, it was an interesting image. Exist. What they do? Exist. Right. I mean, they just out here trying to be crocodiles. It was a stingray. A croc that killed who? Oh, the crocodile hunter or Crocodile Dundee. Hungary, as in Hungary? Is Hungary a place? Oh, Hungary is a place. Do they speak Hungarian? Hungary's first black MP. Now I feel like I need to Google because I'm so disoriented. Yeah, I think I would too. Suffer post-traumatic stress if I killed somebody. I don't think I would be feeling good about it. I don't think I'd be feeling normal. I don't think it would be like a casual thing. I've never killed anybody, so I don't know how I would feel, but I can't imagine. A prejudice. It depends on who it was. I feel like, I don't know. Because even when I think of like people who got on my nerve or I feel like they deserve some stuff, I wouldn't, when I try to project, it's like, it doesn't feel good to me to hurt somebody. Even if I feel like, I just want them to get hurt, like, by the universe. And I don't know, like, until this present administration, I think now I'm kind of like fiending, like I have a growing like bloodlust to see like something bad happen to, Zero. But then now my mother is like, I think he's probably a clone. And I'm like, and I know even if I don't see something bad happen, that doesn't mean that he's not having a bad life. He acts like he's having a bad life. He looked like he's having a bad life. But I just really want to see him suffer. He is a clone. So the clone can't suffer. So it's like, am I going to get any satisfaction? And I'm supposed to, like, I feel like I'm supposed to have satisfaction in the universal trust that God has this. I don't have to worry about seeing nobody suffer. But for some reason, it's like, it's just like a growing thing with me with this. And I haven't figured out how to release it. But usually I don't want to see people suffer. I wouldn't want to get back in the saddle either. You ain't going to no party city. I believe his DNA is intertwined with George Patton. Who the heck is George Patton? George Patton. I think I know that. Who is George? Okay. I didn't even know there were black people in Hungary. So the first MP is black. If I see SB hurting our children, sorry, but they need to go. I'm not saying they don't need to go. I'm just saying, how am I going to feel about it afterwards? I don't know. A general. Oh, General George Patton. General Patton. Patton. I don't think I'm going to Google either, because it's probably somebody regressive. somebody I don't need to be like, I need to Google Garvey, study Garvey. I wouldn't feel bad if it was for the purpose of saving innocent lives. Well, I feel good about saving the lives. Okay, Hungary has black people. They have their first MP, and his aim is to destroy prejudice. Nation's first Somali American lawmaker eyes seat in Congress. Me neither. I wouldn't feel bad. I'd feel glad. I'd be happy. Woohoo! I'm going to Party City. I'm getting my balloons. You dead? You dead? We gonna dance on your grave. Yeah, I don't know if I don't know. Queer in Nigeria, people don't think we exist. I think this whole idea of existing and being seen and being acknowledged is interesting, because I definitely feel like sensitive to people ignoring me. Like when I feel like if I'm like in a space and people like, hi, people don't make eye contact with me. I mean, I'm not going to like go and cry, but I am sensitive to it and I do notice it. And I think that being seen and known and acknowledged is really important. I could never dance on anyone's grave. Sometimes in my family, where our family graves are, my grandfather's father's father, there's like a burial site down south, and like when you go to events and stuff, I wouldn't want to get my shoes muddy. When you go to events and stuff, you know, like the last funeral you went to, like getting to where they were burying the people, it's like you had to walk over people's graves. And I don't like to walk over people's graves, let alone dance on them. But everybody else seemed, for the most part, I didn't see anybody else who seemed, you know, I was like trying to walk around. Very funny. So yeah, this whole idea of existence and being seen, and like people being like I was working with this woman the other day and she was like, black, white, it's all the same. Hey, brother Danubian. It's something she was saying, and I'm like, and then I don't even notice that stuff. But then she had already told me that she's like, my neighbor, I don't know, if I couldn't tell if they were Pakistani or Mexican. There was a movie called Patton. I couldn't tell if they were Pakistani or Mexican, so I called them Pakexian, because my friend. So it's like the first thing she wanted to know about her new neighbors was their ethnicity, but then she's like, color and ethnicity and culture doesn't matter. And I'm like, I wouldn't necessarily feel bad about severely wounding someone who was a threat, but to take their life would be a whole different matter. And I was always kind of taught, being small, I wouldn't care if someone danced on my grave, just as long as they weren't doing the stanky leg. I was always taught, as someone small, that if I'm going to take a gun out, if I'm going to try to, that I have to do the most damage that I can, because I basically don't have a whole bunch of shots. Like I can't be like, I got to be like, where's the key point for me to hit it as hard as I can and run the hell away. Try to shoot you dead and kill you and run the hell away. Don't be out here trying to be nice. Don't be out here trying to be polite. Try to kill, do your best to kill them. If it's to the point where you got to fight, it's to the point where I got to kill. That's what I was told. So I don't know. I don't know if I could. I mean, I get the theory, but I mean, in practice, I don't know. I don't know what I do. Trump Kim summit, who are North Korea's running bodyguards, the stacky leg. We talked about that. White House confirms its chief of staff was hacked. Everybody's just in here laughing at Iapo's jokes. So the chief of staff was hacked for Zero's administration. Who believes that's not the only person who's been hacked and who's being blackmailed? Just raise your hand. But anyways, headline news. Okay, I'll quit. The Iapo is hilarious. I know he is. Don't quit. Keep the act. Oh, look, you got a hand. You got a black hand. How is it black even on that side? I think it's funny. It don't bother me. So don't stop now. Bella looking at me. That makes perfect sense. I'm just limiting my sentiments if I happen to be a cop. I couldn't just murder someone and move on. The buddies are the Russians are doing it. How is it black even on that side? Yes, he is. His intros, yes. I might like the intros the best. And the production, I just think the whole thing is just fat. We talk about that. India, WhatsApp, child kidnap rumors claim 2 more victims. So there's this thing going around WhatsApp. What's up? Oh, Pete, you already say hi. There's this thing going around WhatsApp. Most of us don't know about WhatsApp, but probably if you Jamaican or, other parts of the world, people use WhatsApp. It's kind of like, I don't know, it's like a messaging app, but stuff goes around on it. So there's this video going around of this child being kidnapped, but it's not really a real video. It's a fake video. It's from a video saying, don't do something with your, and like part, so the video has been edited to make it seem like the child is being kidnapped. The part at the beginning and the part at the end are not there, you know what I mean? And so it makes it seem like people, and so people will show up in town and they'll be like, hey, that's the person we saw on WhatsApp who was kidnapping the children. And so people have been getting killed and murdered, like, and beat and stuff over this video that's going around WhatsApp and these rumors of child kidnappers. And so 2 more victims. I don't know if the people were killed or just beat or whatever. But what I don't understand is why people make these fake videos. Like, why make a fake video saying this person is kidnapping someone if they're not? Why edit a video and advance an agenda if it's not true? Like on Facebook, you used to get these messages all the time that are like, pass this message around. This is coming from the head of Facebook. My name is so and so, and it's free now, but it's not going to be free no more. But if you send this message to 20 people, then it's going to be free for you. And then people would send you that mess, and you're like, what kind of foolishness is this? But who takes the time to, like, why? What do you get out of making that video and distributing it and having people send it around? Like, why? Why are you doing it? So I don't understand why they had these fake, like, people are getting kidnapped who aren't being kidnapped. High-tech chain letters. Now, the whole chain letter thing, I'm sick of social media and the wicked things done with it. Probably racist conspiracy theories. Now, the chain letter thing, I feel like I kind of understood it better, or at least the chain letters I used to see, they'd be like, look, you send $1 and then other people are going to send you money. See, there's that dollar again. And I'd be like, this is a chain letter. I'm not doing this. This is dumb. And then my mother would do it, and she'd be like, a couple people sent me dollars. And I'd be like, dang, I should do it. I think 1 or 2 times she got me to do it. But whenever I do stuff that I think is foolish and dumb and dishonest, it never serves me. So I think the whole chain letter thing, I don't buy into it enough, or it's a hustle. But at least then you could think that you might do it for the money. But what are you getting on Facebook, or what are you getting on WhatsApp? You're not going to get $1 or 50 or 20 or 10 or 2. It's just a power trip for them, the notion that they're manipulated a bunch of people into doing something. That's deep. And that must be what it is, because yeah, I guess it's the power to move people. But like, it's kind of like, use your power for good. Your power is killing people. V is for vendetta. Right. I tried to send a chain letter one time, but the links in metal kept bursting. Ain't nobody paying attention to you and your foolishness. Uber could teach AI to know when you're drunk. There was a young king killed here last week, really close to the place I lived 16 years ago, while I was on a Facebook live stream. Wow. So somebody was killed on a Facebook live stream close to where you used to live 15 years ago? Is that what you just said? Well, peace out to he was going on Facebook Live. Wow. Well, peace to his family and to him as he's making his transition into the community. Do you know his name? Uber could teach its AI, artificial intelligence, to know when you're drunk. I guess what difference does it make to Uber if you're drunk? If they're driving you home, why do they care if you're drunk? I wouldn't want nobody sad to lose a 16-year-old. Yeah. I wouldn't want nobody in my car drunk and throwing up. Right. Does it take the wheel? Oh, so they trying to figure out if the Uber driver is drunk? Is that like a issue, like a real thing where a lot of Uber drivers are driving drunk? Because we were talking the other day and I'm like, so is it a real issue? Like, are Uber drivers more likely to rape people than regular taxi cab drivers, or just the general population? Shalom. I think it's Deshaun or Deshaun something. All right. Well, prayers out to Deshaun and his family. Hey, Chris. I think it's very sad and dangerous phenomenon. People being attacked, raped, and killed on Facebook Live. So he was on Facebook Live when he was killed. Are people doing it? Are people like saying, oh, they're on live, let me kill them? Or is it just that they happen to be live and it gets recorded and we can see the killation happening? U.S. debuts world's fastest supercomputer.
Call Wesley Financial Group.
Oh, I want to see what time it is. What time is it? Weed it out or high? Weed on weed. What's 2:55? I gotta hurry up. Oh, thank you. 2:55 Eastern time. I can't be chit-chatting with y'all. So the world's fastest super computer. He was on there and the gunshots were heard. Yeah. Yeah. Some of the films that I saw this weekend, it was one where we saw the footage again of the man who worked in the his baby girl was in the back seat. His girlfriend was taping the incident. It was on Facebook Live. I think that was the first one on Facebook Live that we saw, when the cop was like, oh, you have a legal gun? Well, give me your license. And then he shot the guy, and we saw the aftermath of it. And then it was some other footage. But like this whole Castile, right? This whole Philando Castile. Yeah, I couldn't think of the Philando Castile. So we saw that footage on film, and then we saw the footage of I Can't Breathe on film. And it was something else we saw on film. And then another filmmaker in a whole nother context was talking about like the phenomena of lynchings. Like all of these, like these are like the equivalents of public lynching, where these videos are seen over. And we've talked about that before, but seeing it again on video, yeah, he seemed to be a good brother. Seeing it again on video, it's just like, it's very disturbing and it's very like disorienting. Cute doggy. It's very disorienting, and it's like, it's unsettling. Like it's unsettling, like it's threatening, it's disturbing. Like, I know I don't really talk about the shock and awe campaign anymore, because I really didn't like learn anything more about it to advance the conversation, other than, it's shocking. I just couldn't. There's only so much I can take. Yeah, it's yeah. Yeah. I still, I still don't know how I feel about watching them. Like a lot of times I can't watch them. I can't even read the stories. And I feel like it is something to be said for someone witnessing what has happened to you. But I don't know, is it like a witnessing, or is it a glorification? And is it like empowering to those of us who watch it, or does it like just demoralize us more? Does it vary day to day, moment to moment? I don't know. Because like, when the mama had the baby who was killed in Money, Mississippi, and the mama had his casket open, and the picture in Jet magazine, like, we gonna look at the truth of this that happened. That was something that she felt was healing and important for, we gonna see the truth, we gonna say the truth, this is what happened to my baby. And a lot of people were offended and upset by that. Yeah, it's one thing to know somebody's having an affair, it's another thing to see it. And that's kind of how I think I feel about like this whole like, it's one thing to know in the abstract that, somebody like white people don't like me. It's another thing for somebody to spit in my face and call me names and kick me or beat me or something. Emmett Till, thank you. Yeah, baby Emmett Till. Um, yeah. So I don't know. I mean, I kind of go back and forth, but I know seeing it in the film, I did not feel good about that. That moment didn't make me feel good. And film is not necessarily always supposed to make you moment to moment feel good. No art is necessarily supposed to leave the cave women alone. That instance, who, Emmett Till? If he whistled at her, if he said something to her, that's supposed to teach you to like, I don't know about that. You talking about Emmett Till? I think that little boy was a little boy. I mean, was he really even? I'm going to leave it alone. Vietnam detains, hey, the real Aaron Collins. Vietnam detains 100 after anti-China economic zone protests turn violent. Is McDonald's getting rid of workers? Chain will add self-order kiosks to 1,000 stores every quarter. T-Rack. North Korea state TV reports on Trump-Kim summit. So I guess they just started reporting right now. I'm still super upset about that girl at the high school in South Carolina who got grabbed by the neck and thrown across the classroom. That's how sensitive I am to our pain. Is that the child who was still in the chair, like in the, the desk? Because that was really, and the little girl outside, at the swim party, at the pool party, I don't understand. I guess I'm using the term men lightly. Her sister-in-law admitted that they never happened and that she was there. She refuted the entire story against Emmett Till. Right. And I feel like, yeah, I feel like they just be out here, they're liars, so they lie. They're killers, so they kill. I don't really think it's a reflection of us, and I don't think it's a reflection of what we do or what we don't do. I think it's a reflection of them and how they move in the world. Yeah, I bet she wasn't white. They rarely treat white girls like that. I think I'm missing what you're talking about. Oh, you talking about the little girl who got thrown across the classroom? No, she was a black child. Okay, so they just started reporting. She was sitting down in her desk and all of a sudden got manhandled by that thug. But I think it was one of the things where, you have like a little desk. Anyway, I can just see the visual in my head. So the North Korea state TV just started passing laws indifferent to purges. Right. Birds fly, fish swim. Becky's accused black men. So according to this article, North Korea state TV just started reporting on the summit, although we've been hearing about it on this TV for a while. Pope accepts Chilean bishop's resignation over abuse scandal. MIT experts pioneer a way to recover drinking water from power plants. So they're talking about the fact that even though there's a lot of water on the earth, a lot of it isn't potable, drinkable, or whatever. And so I guess just trying to figure out ways for people to be able to get at water. Police arrest Memphis woman accused of transporting grandchildren in hot dog cages. Hot dog cages. When I first read it, I'm like, hot dog cages? What's a hot dog cage? She had the children in the trunk in dog cages because she said there wasn't enough room in the car. She drowned her children and claimed the black man did it. We heard a story the other day where somebody is like, yeah, a black man drove me home. Like they make up all the males, the females, they make up. See, I don't like when I don't understand why people call women females. But anyway, I'm using males and females like animals. Power plant water. That's not good. I didn't really read the article. I just saw the headline. It kind of caught my attention. I opened the article, but I didn't read it. That's not good. Don't eat the power plant. What? Don't drink it. So this is coming off of Atlanta Black Star. I'm assuming that the grandmother was black and the grandchildren are black. I don't know what the hell is wrong with her. Something is clearly wrong. Who puts children in a trunk and drives 35 miles with children in a trunk? So just prayers out to those children. I don't know. It's coming. That story is coming off of Atlanta Black Star. I kind of skimmed it, but I, yeah, that's radioactive water. Radioactive water. Oh, power plants. Nuclear power plants. Don't they use electricity to make this ionized water, alkaline water that everybody's so excited about? Is that radioactive too? I don't know what's up with her. So if anybody know what's up, but prayers out to the children. Somebody got a picture of dog cages in the trunk of the woman's car. World Cup child trafficking bid foiled in Nigeria. They see us as animals. This was a black woman with her black grandchildren. So sometimes we see ourselves and treat ourselves. I think alkaline water is alkaline due to mineral content. Well, I've always, when I've had these presentations, they have a machine that's supposed to alkalize water. And I think it's like something deionizing, like the negatively ionized go here, the positively ionized go here, you know, Florida. And it's another one too. Don't fall for the banana. I missed all of that. So I've seen alkaline water through a disease. Oh, was she their grandmother? Because I read it was her grandmother. Grandchildren. Okay, I might have to look into that story. Oh my God. Yeah, I didn't know. I was wondering. I'm like, who? What? Okay. Yeah. You saw the footage. So they use the water to cool the reactors, and then they like, oh, y'all could just drink this water. So I guess the World Cup is coming up. We were talking about these Nigerian t-shirts, or whatever they call them, the kits. You should never drink that water. That alkaline water that comes off the machines. Shoot, that's when you go to these places in Detroit that are selling alkaline water, I promise you they making it off of the machines. They doing something through using electricity. It's a company. Like I've been to presentations, the people try to sell you the machine. It's like $4,000, something like that, give or take a couple thousand. So the World Cup is coming, and I guess prostitution and, you know, wild sex is big during the World Cup. So apparently some people were trying to get some children, you know, transported to being exactly. I've never been a fan of the whole alkaline water thing, and I like, especially because the first person who tried to introduce me to it was you know, eating like crap and then trying to talk about their health. I'm like, why don't you just eat more alkaline foods? You know, cut out the sugars, you know, minimize the sugars, minimize the processed foods, minimize the meats, and you're gonna be better. I don't trust anything they make. Nothing. Not a zilch. Nah. So they were trying to get some children. I think it was 10 children. So they say that it was foiled, according to the BBC. IHOP's new International IHOB campaign. Remember, they were like, what does it stand for? And I'm like, obviously, it's the International House of Breakfast. It's the International House of Burgers. I'm still not going there. I haven't been there, but I'm just saying burgers. Now we know. I've heard that as well. You can alkalize water by adding lemon juice to it. U.S. North Korea talks moving more quickly than expected. Black folks. What do black folks have to do with IHOP? Russian workers are undergoing training to learn how to smile ahead of not hamburgers, but burgers. Maybe they'll have veggie burgers. or lime juice bona fide. Russian workers are undergoing training to learn how to smile ahead of the World Cup. I guess they're just not like friendly people in that way, or maybe they don't express their friendliness through smiles. So they training them to smile at the people. Horse burgers, cucumbers, alkali. You can add cucumbers to water to increase the alkalinity of it. Okay. Kabul blast, at least 13 killed in Afghan ministry attack. At least it's not the damn awful house. So rest in peace to the 13 people killed and their families and communities. Sugar babies get gifts and cash from their sugar daddies, but some also get business advice, mentorship, and investments. Y'all know I'm fascinated by this whole conversation. I can't even talk about it today because I'm out of time. A U.S. Air Force deserter found after 35 years. He took $28,000, $25,000, $30,000 out of his account and disappeared, and now they found him. So they've been looking for him because I guess his level of clearance or whatever, he had some information. I don't know if they've actively been looking for him, but they found him. I love cucumber infused water. Spain will accept disputed migrant ship Aquarius. I think it was like 600. It's coming off of the BBC, but it was a whole bunch of people on that ship. Women spend 4 times more money than men to compete for love on the Bachelor franchise. The woman tax. It's all like getting your hair cut costs more for women. Although I didn't pay more to get my hair cut. I went in, I saw the sign. After he cut my hair, I'm like, how much does it cost? He like $10 haircuts. And that's what the sign said. It didn't say $10 haircuts, but he like, don't be asking me no stupid questions. Don't be coming in here chit-chatting with me. But a lot of times women do pay more money for haircuts and other stuff. Lil Kim files for bankruptcy with over $4 million in debt. Some of that debt is tax debt, but I'm curious about the redistribution of wealth. Like, you know, all of this debt and tax stuff and how people who have wealth then stop having wealth. Hey, what's up, poetry? School bus left hysterical 5-year-old at the wrong stop. Mother's lawsuit alleges. A 5-year-old at the wrong stop? I don't have time today. New poll finds over half of Americans think NFL players should comply with the NFL policy to stand during national anthem. I don't give a care. All workers in Washington state now have equal pay protections. The ghost village being reclaimed by nature. Ooh, I bet you that's a pretty image. Alligator knocks out man in Florida. This is the third story we done had about Florida today. Pilot dies after plane crash lands in Melbourne. So rest in peace to that pilot. Airbnb pulls over 4,800 rentals in Japan following recent law. So I guess if you were planning to go to Japan and stay at an Airbnb, you better check to see if it's still there because we were 5 because they pulled it. U.S. grants extradition of former Panama president Ricardo Martinelli. I think when I looked at the image, what caught my attention was that he was white. And I was like, I thought Panama was black, but that's a whole nother story. Could an emoji save your life in an earthquake? They don't have like an emoji for earthquakes. They have emojis for different things, but because an earthquake is a complicated function, there's like not a symbol for it. But it makes me think about like these symbols being used to communicate, universal. And you know, I just think the whole thing of language, and when we see things etched in the walls, you know, and we think, oh, that's primitive, maybe it's super sophisticated, right? If some of her debt is due to her transformation. I hope she ain't pay no $4 million for that. I don't know. Don't fall for the okie doke, Trump. I love the a headline that says okie doke. Don't fall for the okie doke. Trump asking for pardon suggestions from NFL players is BS. Executive pay at Google could be tied to gains in diversity and inclusion. Georgia officer fired for hitting suspect with car lands new job days later. With few choices, the poor take risk in volcano's path. I can't talk about it today, but that's not like a surprise. Why didn't they leave New Orleans? New research encourages brands to weigh in on the big social issues. FCC shrugs at fake cell towers around the White House. We don't care about these cell towers. We're like supposed to be protecting the White House and stuff secure. We don't care. Don't be telling us nothing about that. Cuba sonic attack. U.S. tests 2 more Havana embassy staff. We've been talking about this for months. All right, peace. I gotta go. I have to catch you on the, I might catch you on the inside. Okay, look, I'm turning off the car like I'm saying bye to y'all. I'll be right back. Peace. With part 2. It's almost finished. Be you, be fabulous you. The cave house sinking. Bye, I see. Peace.